one of the things that we found with the businesses is that businesses are essentially mostly composed of buildings and vehicles. And you can probably work out different ways of straightening this up, but basically it splits into buildings and motion. And these are just the sort of fundamental components of the way that businesses work. We help with addressing the buildings issue, and we worked on ways of how you can build better buildings, and there's plenty of people working on that. And what really surprised me is that there's not that many people working on how we solve the motion issue, not just for domestic population who want to buy an electric car, but how do we address this for our global supply chains? You know, the IMO 2020 is about to come out, which is a new shipping standard for fuel for ships. And they've got something that they're calling low sulfur fuel. Now this is the most amazingly cynical piece of spin that I've heard in a long time. Their low sulfur fuel that they're all getting very excited about is going to be more expensive. Their low sulfur fuel was the fuel we banned in the 1990s as being too high in sulfur to put into our trucks. So the ships of the world are going for and indeed they're complaining about it, but they're going for a fuel which we banned in the 1990s for being too poisonous for our cities, and they're spreading it around the planet on all the seas. Now, that's hard and it's tough and it's unpopular for me to point it out to people, because sitting in your home in Shepton Mallet, you want to be able to go and buy a washing machine that costs 200 quid and that it's made in some factory in China using cheap labour, and it's transported for next to nothing halfway around the world. And the only reason it can be transported halfway around the world for next to nothing is because the fuel's cheap. Ships are actually quite efficient at moving things, but they have generated an awful carbon footprint because consumers want to demand these things and because the fuel they burn is just horrid.